all know that February is the month of love and it's National Heart Awareness Month, good health for your heart. But we at SCAN, we feel like every single month of the year is still about caring for your mental health. We're going to talk a little bit about your mental health today. And you know what's good for your mental health is also good for your heart. So if you want to know more about this, just stay tuned. Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to SCAN FYI. Yeah, it's Heart Month, and you know, your head and your heart, they work together. So we want to always take care of our mental health as well as our heart health. And my guest today is Melisa Damcevska. She is from Braven Health. And Melissa, welcome and thank you for being with me.
Good morning, Andrea. It's a pleasure to be here.
So why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and tell everyone about you?
Absolutely. So again, my name is Melisa Damcevska. I'm a health educator with Braven Health. My role really focuses on doing health education programs and presentations to make sure that our seniors are living the best and most robust lives that they can.
Okay. And we also always want to mention that Braven has been a sponsor of SCAN for a long time, for which we are very grateful. So we're talking about caring for your mental health today. And I know, Melissa, there's a lot of misconceptions about aging. And why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So as we age, there are a lot of things that people consider to be common. And while they're common, they're not really normal. And they're things that really we should be talking more about. So some things that are common is that a lot of people believe that depression and loneliness are normal as we age. So as we age, if you're more likely to be depressed just based on life experiences that happen, grief, bereavement, retirement, lack of social connections, loneliness, all of these things become more common as we age, but really they're not normal. And there are things we can do to make sure we have a strong support system, making sure we're taking care of our mental and our physical health. So I really want to tell everyone that just if you're feeling any feelings of depression or anxiety, sadness, they're really not normal, and really encourage you to speak to somebody about that. In addition, sleep. Sleep is a huge factor. I know a lot of our seniors will say they go to
Yeah.
sleep very early, they wake up very early, they're waking up throughout the night. So really, you should be getting between 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep per night. And I know that can be a little difficult, but that's the best way to really make sure you're taking care of your mental and your physical health as well. Another
So sleep,
common thought.
can I just say that
Mhm.
sleep is a huge factor. And we do meet a lot of seniors who say, I sleep maybe 3 or 4 hours a night. Well, we want to say that's not a good thing. And we've got many episodes on FYI and topics that we talk about at SCAN for getting a better night's sleep, because just because you're older does not mean 3 hours of sleep is okay. It's not.
Exactly.
Let's put that out there right now. Yeah.
Exactly. And same thing with naps. So if you're sleeping 3 hours at night and then you're taking a 3 hour nap to supplement, that doesn't count. You want to
Right.
make sure you're getting that consistent sleep at night.
If you're taking a 3 hour nap, that's why you're not sleeping at night, by the way. But
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. That's also true. Yeah, I mean, and in addition to your sleep, there's a lot of belief out there that dementia is inevitable, and that's not true either. There are really things you can do that someone can do to help improve and maintain their brain health, making sure you're getting enough omega-3s, doing a daily puzzle, exercising your brain the same way that you would exercise a muscle. So there's a belief out there that you're going to get dementia as you age, and that's not true either. So there are these misconceptions that are related to our mental health. Exercise is a huge one. Andrea, you mentioned it's Heart Health Month, and we're going to talk a little bit about our heart health as we talk about mental health. Exercise, wonderful for your mental health, can help process stress, reduce the risk, and can help manage chronic conditions, reduce the risks of heart attacks and stroke. So making sure you're getting enough exercise, 30 minutes of movement a day, doesn't have to be anything drastic, nothing crazy, but going for a 30-minute walk, some gardening, some chair yoga, some gentle movement throughout the day. That can really help alleviate a lot of feelings of stress and anxiety.
So we run into folks who say, well, everything hurts. Exercise is going to make it hurt even more. But the reality is, if you would move a little bit, you wouldn't have all of that. We have this saying that we always I want to make sure I say it right. Motion is lotion. You got to lubricate those joints and get them going. And if
Absolutely.
you're a couch potato and a TV watcher, well, there's a lot of commercials these days. So while there's a commercial, get up and move, march in place, stop making excuses. You can do this.
Absolutely, yeah. And like I said, nothing intense, some gentle stretching, some gentle
Yeah.
movement will really help lubricate those joints. You're sitting, you're watching TV, lift a heavy book in one arm. Just gently lift a book up and down. Get some movement in your
Or a
arms.
couple of bottles of water, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, there's gentle movement you can do that does wonders for your mental and your physical health.
Lots of things we can do. When you exercise and you're releasing those endorphins, you're feeling better, your whole outlook will change. And if you do it several times a week, I think you're going to notice a big difference. You know who else notices the difference when people are changing like that is your family, your friends. Maybe they're going to want to be around you more because you're a lot more pleasant person.
Absolutely. And exercise definitely does wonders for our energy levels. You're going to find you'll
Yes.
have more energy the more movement you do. And it's kind of this vicious cycle. If you don't exercise, you don't have energy and you don't want to exercise. But if you start introducing that movement slowly, you'll notice your energy levels will pick up. And then all of a sudden you're enjoying your exercises.
Oh, and guess what else, Melissa? You'll sleep better.
Exactly. Full circle here.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay. So what about some physical impacts of poor mental health?
Right. So there's also been a misconception out there, and thankfully we're doing a lot to break down these thoughts that your mental health and your physical health are entirely separate. And that's not true at all. Your mental health impacts your physical health impacts your mental health, and they go back and forth. They're very, very much interconnected. So if someone's dealing with chronic stress, depression, anxiety, grief, any type of intense emotion, it can impact their physical health. And I mean, it can increase the risk of high blood pressure. High blood pressure can increase your risk of heart disease, of heart attack, of stroke, weakened immune systems. Now, someone might be more, especially our seniors, more at risk for everyday germs. Your body might not be fighting them off as well because of that weakened immune system. Cognitive decline as well. That's also a risk with poor mental health. So if you're taking care of your mental health and reducing your stress and really, really leaning on that support system, there are things you can do to improve your physical health as well.
So I feel like when I'm listening to you is we have to take a holistic approach to, mind, body, spirit, right? Because
Exactly.
it's all working together. And when one of those is a little bit out of whack, it's going to affect everything. So we have to think, holistically. It's not just I didn't sleep. It's not just that I didn't exercise. It's really everything.
Exactly. All the pieces of the puzzle fit together here. Getting a good night's sleep is going to give you more energy. Exercising is going to give you more energy. Exercising and having more energy is going to reduce your risk of physical conditions. And then reducing that risk, making sure you're managing your chronic conditions can help manage your mental health as well.
There's a lot of things we can do, a lot of things we can do for ourselves. So what would you say would be some risk factors, potential risk factors for, older adults?
For our older adults specifically, we're looking at the risks associated with social isolation. Someone who might be living on their own, they might have retired and now they're not going into an office every day or not speaking to their coworkers every day. Someone who really find ourselves staying home a little bit more. So social isolation and then loneliness as well. The distinction there is that loneliness is someone who might be surrounded by people, but doesn't have that desired level of connection to the group. So huge risk factors when we're looking at our senior population here. More than 1 in 3 adults, actually 45 and older, have reported to feel lonely, and 1 in 4 older adults have reported feeling socially isolated. And when we're looking at these risks, it increased your risks of dementia by up to 50%, increases your risk of heart disease by up to 29%, your risk of stroke by over 32%. So again, we're leaning back into the impacts that social isolation and loneliness have on our physical health as well, just how closely they're tied.
So we've noticed at SCAN, of course, I like to think we're in the post-COVID time of life, But even so, there's still a lot of people out there that have not 100% kind of gotten into their reentry, if that's the way to say it. You know, they're still very leery and they're still keeping themselves pretty isolated. And, you know, we're not saying there's anything wrong with going home, shutting the door, and just relaxing, but you can't be doing this every single day. You know, people, we always say people who need people, we have to get out. We have to meet and mingle. It's just part of humans and what we are. I feel like it's not
Absolutely.
a natural thing to be 100% isolated, but for many seniors, that is the condition.
It is, yeah. And humans are, and this doesn't change with age at all. Humans are naturally social beings, and we have different energy levels. There is someone who's more introverted who prefers to be home, but there are certain activities that person can still engage in. A book club, a reading club,
Right.
a gardening club. There are little things that can feed to your own hobbies that you can engage in to make sure you're reducing those risks of social isolation and being connected to others.
So I think for everyone who's listening out there, you know, what you can do to make your heart happy and maybe help someone else is, you know, an act of random kindness. If you know there's an elderly person, they're living alone, or a relative or a neighbor, do something nice for them, invite them for dinner, cook for them, just do something nice to engage with them. It's good for you and it's good for them. We're
Yeah,
all
making
about
sure
that,
you
you know, engagement with people. So, you know, Melissa, so when is it good for people if you recognize some of the symptoms in yourself, or maybe you even recognize it in a friend or a relative, when do you need to seek some support to you know, get over maybe depression or isolation?
Yeah, I always say that for any individual or if you're worried about a loved one, look for any changes in their behavior. Something that you noticed wasn't there before. Maybe they all of a sudden have like more of a persistent sadness. They don't really want to leave the house anymore. They're not engaged in any activities or hobbies they used to enjoy doing. They're might they might voice feeling maybe hopeless or worthless, saying something like, "What's the point?" So those are common phrases that people tend to say. And you might notice some irritability, some restlessness, again, loss of interest in activities, decreased energy, as we talked about, increased fatigue, difficulty concentrating or making decisions, and then any changes in sleeping and eating habits. These are signs that someone might need a little additional support. They might be eating less, they might be eating more. They might be sleeping more, they might be sleeping less. So any change in behavior that you notice, either in yourself or in somebody else, is a great sign that person might need some additional support.
Okay, very good. And any, you know, any last thoughts on some good ways for us to take care of ourselves?
Absolutely. Making sure you have that social support, making sure that you have people you can rely on, whether they're neighbors, their friends, family, someone in your life that you're comfortable speaking to, that you can voice any concerns to, that you can talk about your emotions with, that you can go for a walk with.
Right.
Getting some kind of physical activity is great with a friend or a partner. So finding someone to go for a walk, joining a club of some sort, a hobby that you'd enjoy, making sure you're staying on top of your medical needs, taking your medications as needed if you're on any, making sure you're seeing your doctor. Again, your physical health and your mental health, Andre, are so closely tied. So making sure you're taking care of any chronic conditions you might have, any physical needs that your body needs,
Right.
seeing your doctor. And then again, don't be afraid to ask for help. That's something that maybe in our senior population might be a little more difficult because they feel a little more isolated and dealing with any loneliness or making sure that it's okay to ask for help. And if you're struggling in any way, if you need to talk in any way, you have a support system, you have a healthcare provider, someone you can speak to.
Right, we have to destigmatize asking for help. It's 100% okay to ask for help. I feel like it's not okay to not ask for help. Don't buy into that myth. It's if you know, if you fell and you broke your arm, you'd see a doctor. You'd go to the ER. But when you're broken in other areas, sometimes we just think, you know, it's a sign of weakness, and it's not. Take care of yourself, mind, body, spirit. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Melissa, thank you so much for being with me today. Melisa Damcevska from Braven Health. It was really a pleasure to speak with you this morning. Thank you.
Likewise, thank you so much for having me.
And remember out there, if it's important to you, it's important to us. I'm Andrea Tarr. We'll see you next time on Scan FYI. Bye, everyone, and bye, Melissa.
Bye, Andrea.